All right, that was created by a friend of mine, Colby. Thank you very much, Colby, for letting me play that without getting copyright strike. I'm running late. And
I think you're running early.
Really?
Well, it's early in the morning.
Oh, there you go. I'm running early. Thanks. Thanks, Noble. There's my guest, NoblenessDee. I had all kinds of plans for this, and now I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to plan anything anymore. I mean, I got notes. That's fine, but the full moon tonight. First one of the month.
Is it
2 this month? Yeah. Yeah. You weren't aware of that?
No.
Yeah, we got 2 full moons this month, another blue moon within 3 months. February didn't have any blue moons. Yeah, I thought that was neat. And what were we talking about? I was at the hot springs Saturday, and I run it, or Friday afternoon. I run into a guy. I figure anybody that tells me, I think I just woke up the house too. Anybody that talks to me, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the Mandela effect with them. But other than that, I'm not going to say a thing. I'm just going to enjoy myself. So this guy's sitting there with another couple and another wife or something, and he said something to me, something totally harmless, like, "Hey, what's up?" And that was it. I just went off. I started talking about the Mandela effect, and I go, "Hey, what color's the yield sign?" And he goes, I know this. It's red. And ever since everybody started telling me it's red, I started coming up with the shape. And I'd say, "Okay, red, what shape is it?" And they'd say an upside down triangle. And I'd say, "No, it's a diamond." More accurately, it was a square that was turned on its side. And I would show them pictures on my phone and talk with them about it. And nobody ever argued with me about it, that it wasn't a red diamond, that it was actually a red triangle. Because now it is a red triangle, an upside down triangle. So we apparently had another shift in between me talking about what shape the thing is. That's brutal.
You're not going to believe this. I just Googled it again. Like you told me this just yesterday or day before. I just Googled it again now. And the very first one that comes up in Google is a yellow triangle, upside down triangle. But when I go in my images, there's both red and yellow, but there must be like twice as many yellow showing up as there was the other day. Not even kidding. It's like 50-50 now.
Wow. Yeah. See, now they're popping up all over. So, but no red diamonds.
No diamonds. No. Everything but.
Right. I know. Not one red diamond. I'm taking it personal. So that was one of the things I thought this might be. I thought the changes, things that we're seeing now, we're going to ramp up as far as be more personal. That was one of my suggestions, that you and I aren't going to be able to call each other and go, "Oh my God, did you see this change?" And you're going to go, "Yeah, I saw it," because you're going to go, "No, I don't know what you're talking about," or "I'll look it up." But that's what I figured. I figured there'd be a lot of personal changes going on. And I changed this around too from last week. I think it's a little less produced now. What we got here? All right. I can't worry about this. There's just too much here. Too much here, and we won't have anything to talk about. So I said emotions. Did I mention emotions to you, Noble? About how I really feel like emotions have a lot to do with what they've been keeping from us, suppressing us, dumbing us down on our emotions.
Sure.
I really feel like that's a way that we create. And we're not going to be able to do it if we can't ramp up our emotions. Oh, look at you with that. I got to screen share you, right?
It don't matter. They can see it. It's just a general idea. Yeah. Yeah, there may be a connection to that. I mean, obviously between creativity and emotion, definitely. And then as far as, you know, maybe perhaps affecting reality is, I think you're getting at, maybe. I would also say there's likely a connection between emotion and, of course, like your inner self or spiritual self. And if you don't have a good connection to that, that'll make you weak as well in other ways, which I think comes into relation with the Mandela effect, you know. Even with empathy, you know, it seems like all the Mandela affected people are very empathetic to others, you know, nice people. It seems to be a commonality. Yeah, it definitely all ties in. Definitely, you're more likely to be a zombie or a sheeple, you know, if you don't have emotions. Definitely.
Oh, sure, that makes total sense. Because I remember with the experience with the stars, even more vividly now because I've been writing about it. I remember the emotions that I built up. I was just so excited. I was off the charts. You know, it wasn't going to be proved to me whether the Earth was flat or a ball. It wasn't going to be proved to me. I was just like, that was the epiphany. You're not going to prove it to me. And I just was so excited that when I went outside, I had a very high vibration. So when I pointed up at the stars and said, "I'll bet you're all just UFOs," and they just started coming at me, well, it was because of the vibration that I had, the energy that I was carrying. You know, that's why I was able to see that, or that's why they were able to communicate with me. I don't know either way, which, you know, but I know those emotions had a lot to do with it. And I expect that's how we create. Hey, there's your upside right one. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I say your because the upside down one just looks, it doesn't look, none of it looks right to me at all. It's, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty mixed on it all.
You know, I'm trying to say, yeah, that's the way it looked. Like this triangle, upside down triangle that's red, just looks weird. It's as right as it's going to look.
It strikes me weird, man.
It just looks strange. You know, the yellow diamond. I've seen the red diamond in here in your pictures, and I'm cracking up because I'm like, that's what it is. It's a square that was on its side. I had another guy tell me, yeah, you showed me pictures at the bar. And, you know, we're looking at it now, and he's just like, oh, no, not another one of those. No, I haven't gotten this actually working yet. Looks great. Didn't want to be too produced, right? So,
yeah.
But, yeah, we probably won't get many live viewers since I was supposed to be on an hour ago. At least that's what I took. But that's not my goal anyway. It's, you know, I do want to get the info out. I'm here to, I don't even know where chat is. Didn't even say hi to anybody in chat, right? Just to put this stuff out while, you know, people are up having problems sleeping. Narrow bridge yield, huh? That'd be close. So, yeah, I'm not sitting there worried about viewers or anything else. I just want to put something out this late at night when I was always up running around looking for something to do. And now I found something and almost slept through it. So,
yeah, I've been up talking all day. So,
oh yeah,
hopefully my mind and my voice will hang in. But I'm here. I'm ready to go now.
Oh, I really appreciate you being on the show, Noble. let's learn something. Let's figure something out. What were some of the things we were talking about the other day? Oh, I know what started this. I know what brought me to, hey, you know what? Let me get you on the show. You were talking about what makes Mandela affect people. Remember that?
Right. Yeah. I seen there was a few surveys that went around in the beginning, which covered a couple of questions. You know, I definitely have talked to a lot of people, Discord in the beginning, and I would say that the primary, what I would just label as commonalities, the two of them, I think there's two main ones, and it seems like the major one, the most common thing generally, is a basic truther sort of person. So it seems like almost everybody, I mean almost everybody, is what you would put in the category as a truther. The few that were not, you know, like, you know, 9/11 and whatever, you know, just common internet truther people. That doesn't mean that all truther people would be Mandela affected, of course, which they're not, but the ones that didn't seem to fit in that category, they were very high in the empathy or really empaths. Like they're completely either empaths or almost psychics or something, like very high end, you know, very natural ability. And they've been like that their whole lives. So yeah, definitely biggest category is truther. The next one would be that of empathy and spirituality, I guess, like people that are fit into the spirituality, religious, empathetic to others. Like you were saying, emotions is a big deal. That's the other big commonality I found. Seems to me there was some little ones. There's a high percentage of left-handed or multi-handed people. There's a word for that, whatever it is. High percentage of people had cats. I'll tell you that.
Oh,
it's probably just sort of a spin-off, you know, thing, like indirectly related, so to speak.
you think? I mean, I didn't know cats. I
there?
bought them. I bought them while I was already into this, and I would have never. I can't say never, but I would have. I was, and not even against. I just had no desire to buy any pets, or you know, put any of that in my life. I was trying to simplify my life, you know, for the last few years after all this. You know, I didn't think there was anything that would have me run out and buy a couple of cats. That was kind of strange. Even my mother said, "You're not my son. You are from another timeline. You bought cats." Yeah,
Weird.
yeah. My mother and my sister like to needle me here and there. Hey, that sign changed. Maybe we shifted into another timeline. I'm like, oh, you know, but but that's okay. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, there's a few people with dogs too, of course, but definitely a lot of people with animals in general.
Yeah,
Cats, it's phenomenal. Like just the percentage of people with cats and the percentage of people that are like left and multi-handed was very, very high. We'd be sitting there in a group of a dozen people. I'd be like, how many people are left-handed or multi-handed? It'd be like 50% or more every time.
really.
So yeah, that's a high percentage, right? It's not supposed to be that high of a percentage all the time.
No.
So I think it's actually there's a relation, like left-handed, definitely multi-handed. I think there's a relation to how you use your brain. Like it's all indirectly. I think you're just a little more likely to double think yourself or think about your own thoughts. Maybe you're less susceptible of a person to be hypnotized as well. I think there's something related there. Not that there's hypnosis going on. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, in a weird way or similar. Just in the mix of things, not necessarily to be Mandela aware, but maybe, I don't know. But there is a connection, of course, when you're a left-handed person in a right-handed world, you just learn, or you're multi-handed, you're using both parts of your brain, you're kind of bouncing back and forth more often. And I think it just comes into play on how you may remember memories or access memories or whatever, right? I think it just may be connected somehow there.
That makes total sense. If you're using your brain at a higher capacity, it's funny.
Yeah, it's not necessarily higher as in better, but a little bit more of a mix, you know, whereas you're not getting caught in one box almost, maybe if you looked at it that way.
Which I found myself doing, you know, just by saying, you know, I feel, it doesn't matter how many times I say it or however I say it, I feel our consciousness is shifting through timelines. That's just my favorite, you know, theory. That's the one that keeps me sane. You know, I can say, oh, this is what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas other people have different views, and I have been coming to the realization I'm probably wrong. You know, I'm probably straight up wrong. It's probably something closer to something I don't understand or can't comprehend yet. And that's been opening up my mind more. It's been making me accept things more, you know, and say, hey, you know, I don't have to know. What do I have to do? I mean, I felt like,
I think there's possibility that it could be similar, like what you sense as your consciousness going through, perhaps going through different realities or being shifted to a different reality. If reality shifted, but your consciousness remains, really, what's the difference in the sensation? Do you know what I mean?
Except
like
for
it's pretty debatable.
Except for noticing changes, that would, what is the difference? I mean, is that what you mean?
Like basically a change of timeline in a sense. If a timeline got, if something was affected and the whole timeline got changed, it's basically a different reality. Or there's a shift of the reality itself and your consciousness remains conscious or aware of it. Yeah, it may have very much the same kind of sensation to it as if your consciousness is shifting timelines, you know. I could really see that.
So you're saying it could
I don't really
go ahead. No, I was going to say, so it could be one way or the other. How would we know? I mean, I know I don't take my body when we shift, if that's what we're doing. I know my body doesn't come with me because this scar used to be over here. This beauty mark isn't there anymore. Now it's over here. I mean, that one wigs me out too. I'm like, I know the birthmark was here, and for weeks I would glance, not even weeks, probably longer than that. I would just look at it and go, oh, it disappeared. And I wouldn't think anything of it. Oh, do birthmarks disappear? No, they generally stay. Okay, I shifted, no big deal. I get it. You know, I've been through it already. I'm not really concerned. It doesn't shock.
I could throw another wrench in there, and
Please.
Because I could say, I mean, you're probably right about your birthmarks. I wouldn't doubt that there could be a third or fourth possible reason, but for anything, I mean, even for myself, I have to consider that there is everybody out there that thinks it was Sex and the City. Well, like, I don't necessarily even trust my memory or anyone else's memory as 100%, even though I say I know, or you say you know. How do we really know? Are we 100% sure? We see Mandela effect changes. Does that mean we see all the Mandela effect changes? Because we know that varies within the Mandela effect community as well. Just kind of throwing a wrench in there, right? And it's really difficult, of course.
There are 100% Mandela effects for me that I'm not going to question. You know?
Yes.
I mean,
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that you don't remember it differently. It's hard to explain. I'm just arguing
why I have
that
you here.
if something was to change, even if something wasn't to change, how do we know our memory is correct? How do we know everybody else's memory is correct on different things, right? Now, you can still label something a Mandela effect. You know it was something different, sure. And you can try to collaborate that with other people, with residual evidence. There's many ways that we've come to be like, yeah, we're really sure now. And one, of course, main things that I try to do is try to look for more than a single memory, connecting memories, multiple memories of that evidence, right? Or of that particular change. Like I can like say South America. I don't just know South America is in the wrong spot. I can remember specifically as a kid running my finger down the globe from where I am on the east coast of Canada and knowing that I used to try to see who is basically further east in the ocean where I was, or the east side of South America where the tip of Brazil is. And it was hard, you know, it was kind of hard as like I was really young. And then eventually I learned, oh, there's lines on the damn globe that I can just reference from, the latitudinal line. Is it? No, longitudinal, sorry. And I can just reference a little bit over from left or right of a line already printed on the globe, right? And so then I know I was a lot closer. I knew for sure, yeah, Brazil's out a little tiny bit more than my province, home province of Nova Scotia. And so now obviously like it's nowhere near that. I'm actually, when I go down from my location, I'm actually closer to the west coast of freaking South America than I am the east coast of it. Like, what the hell, right? So I have multiple memories to back that up, not just I remember it this way, right? So it just makes me more confident of it. And of course, everybody and their dog, well, not everybody and their dog, but a lot of people are like, yeah, South America is not right at all. And some evidence, some residual.
Yeah, so
it's tough.
You have trigger points for that. That's what I like to call them, trigger points.
Yeah.
You know, something you remember that going to make you remember that. Like for me, my big trigger point would be Nelson Mandela. How do I know how Nelson Mandela is? Well, because sometime in the late 80s, early 90s, I walked in on a funeral, and not a funeral, well, a television room where a funeral was going on. I was in the break room and my friend was there, and I said, who died? He said, Nelson Mandela. And I knew it was the wrong thing to say, but I said, who's that? You know, and he hit me so hard in the arm that I'm never going to forget who Nelson Mandela is. So I have a trigger point for that. So I know when his funeral was. I remember seeing the funeral. What else? The trigger point for Sex in the City with me was I bought an ex-girlfriend DVDs. It was Sex in the City, slot machines and casinos, Sex in the City. I mean, I saw these things.
Right. Multiple different things. Yeah.
Sure. So there's reasons why I don't know why I know there's a D missing from Folgers. I just know there's a D missing from Folgers. I mean, I don't remember ever drinking it. So I don't know where the trigger point is there. I wish I would have just not slept. I would have been so much more organized here. Well, we're going good. What was some of that other? We were rolling when we were on the phone. I got to act like I'm not on camera. So stuck together.
I can tell you something interesting that I'm working on without really telling you completely, but it's out there. Like I don't even know for sure I'm going to do a video 100% on it, but it's a location of some of the U.S. states. Like, in order for me to do a video of it, I need to damn near prove it. I need a lot of evidence, and I've come up with a fair bit of evidence, but I'm still working on it. So when you move states around, they end up touching different borders of the U.S. So I don't want to like give it away, but
all right,
yeah, it's pretty crazy. I'll tell you, there's going to be some cranky people, right? So I gotta have a good video to try to present that.
I think we touched on it a little bit, but yeah, that was really interesting looking at that. That's so. We down to 48 states yet?
I hope not.
Oh, we going on and on about. Yeah, definitely going to have to prepare better next time. So, Nobleness, I appreciate you coming on. Sorry how early it is in the morning for you, too. It's like you're getting up now, right?
It's 6:15. No, I've been up, but I don't think I didn't get up till the afternoon, so I'm doing all right.
All right. One of the things I was talking about with probably you, probably Scarab, was What's it come down to? Does it come down to not participating at all?
Right.
Because isn't it, I mean, that goes along with.
I think it's a factor with when it comes to men. There's different reasons. Yeah, you don't want to participate in society in general. You know, of course, you have to a certain extent, and depending on who you are and what type of life you have. But I think cell phones and definitely your cable TV, your commercials on TV, you should get rid of your cable. Like, you shouldn't even watch it. You know, if you want the news, go on the internet and get your news. If you want whatever, there's so many reasons. Of course, there's all the basic, obvious ones of bad society, crap, and drama-driven stuff. I know just the other day, man, I was watching this guy. I'm sure lots of people knew about a year or more ago. This guy called Soda Poppin', and he's just some kid acting like a goon, kind of like all extreme in his reactions to everything. But he was doing some high roller bids on the internet. It's like playing blackjack with a real dealer on the internet, and you just freak out every time you lose all this money, and you just laugh at him. But it was hilarious, right?
Wow.
But it plays on you, and then I become sort of sarcastic or whatever, rude, or, you know, I don't know. I even made some comments on, I think I was watching Scott for a little while, and I bugged him about the age of the song that he was playing, which was just sarcastically saying I'd have to find that in 8 tracks or something. I'm like, I don't even normally do that, you know. I said one thing in a comment that was kind of had a little bit of sexual-ish, you know, bit to it as a joke, but that's just not like me, you know, or it's not Christian like or whatever. I just don't usually do that. And yeah, crap's bad, TV's bad, all the drama stuff's bad, so all that's obvious. But I think it's possible with your cell phone being around you all the time. I know that's horrible. If people can't go a few hours in a day, or like, you know, a full 60 minutes multiple times a day without looking at their cell phone, it's always playing in their damn head that it's like an addiction. They want to look at it. You're part of the system. Like, you're an addict. Don't be an addict. Get away from it. Be so feel good that you didn't look at that cell phone for an hour, right, or 2 hours. It's horrible, and it's just a frame of mind. And that frame of mind alone, that addiction, quite possibly can be used against you in a programming way. I know people don't. It's hard to explain. It almost has a spiritual aspect to it, but I think there's really something there. It's the addiction. It's the being a part of society just does that to you, keeps you spinning in circles, you know. Unfortunately, we do still have to go to work and make money and whatever, but.
And what is TV doing? What's all that stuff doing? It's absolutely crushing your emotions, which are stopping us from being able to and create the life we're supposed to be creating.
Yeah, they definitely, I see it all the time now, or when I used to watch it, but it's getting worse and worse. Whereas they'll do things even in movies, but constantly they'll do something that'll trigger certain type of emotion, whether it be love, or like, or sex, or something relatively good, and then bam, they'll throw in something horrific right away, right on top of it, and they're just tugging and pulling at your emotions, right? And you can be like, "Oh, I'm a growing man. It don't bother me." No, it don't bother you. You don't get what it does to you though, internally, right? It just makes you unsettled. It just messes you up, and you don't realize it. Doesn't matter who you are, or your conscious reaction isn't the point. It's the emotional reaction to it, and it really screws with you, whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Well, just today. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I was going to
say also,
no,
Stasha.
You go.
I was going to say Stasha Erickson, who I know you know who she is.
I do.
Brought up.
I was in her book.
When she used to work. Yeah, when she used to work for I'm sure it was her, or else it was Rachel. I'm pretty sure it was Stasha. It was early on. When she used to work in a outlet, like it was a news station or something, some sort of TV station. Literally, they put freaking, I don't know if it's in the sound or in visuals, in commercials. Like they can do things to trigger emotions, like just being hungry. And they literally put it in food commercials. Like it's known thing. Like they joke about it. It's the nudge, nudge, hint, hint. They do it.
Well, sure,
They
they
can do
had
these things
that.
with, it could be a low frequency thing or something. I don't know what it is, but.
Well, I know back in the day when I would go to a drive-through, I could see them. I could see the little pictures of the popcorn man and the soda guy flashing on the screen. I saw them. I'm like, I'm watching the movie or whatever, and in the middle of the movie, I'd see soda pop up, and I'm just like, huh, why is that kind? And I would laugh. I'd go, they're trying to get me to buy a soda. They're trying to get me to buy. I mean, I was a teenager. We had drive-through movies back then. Or drive-in movies, they were called drive-through movies. But yeah, that would pop those images up in the middle of the movie, and I'd be like, yeah, you know what? I do want some popcorn and a soda. Even though I saw it, I still would go ahead and get the popcorn and soda. But yeah, football games. Before the football game, what do you? If you ever watch a football game, what's the first thing you see before the game? The
cheerleaders.
Okay, that would work, because that's going to ramp up your emotions one way, and then you're going to all of a sudden, now you're rooting for a team who's not doing well, and you're getting upset, and that's not you. You're not being upset. You're making yourself upset for no reason at all. But before the game, what I've been saying is, so and so's dying of cancer, and it's such a shame, and they're living their life as best they can, and listen, I sympathize with these people, and I understand. It's not the story itself; it's what they're doing to your emotions. And I come out and go, "Oh, don't listen to the child dying of cancer." I sound like such a bad person. No, don't watch the football game either. You're absolutely right. Throw out the cable. Get rid of it. Get your news off of YouTube. I'm not sure that's smart either. But there's a lot more truth out there, I guess, on YouTube definitely than TV. I don't know. It just cracks me up. And see me writing, it's funny. Okay. When I started doing videos, I figured it was for me, so I'd go ahead through it, try and figure out what this was. I talk it out, I'll learn something. I started helping other people. That was my ego. I'm like, great, I'm helping other people. It's just ego. It's just, no matter what you do, it ends up being ego, and that's been driving me up a wall, because I'm like, well, how do you get away from that? Like, it's part of being human. You can't. It's part of being physical. I mean, I might as well not eat. I have toned it down to where, I catch it right away. Okay. I don't know. So I was talking to Danny. We were talking about some Mandela effects. I found one that was, other than the yield sign, I come across another one that I've been talking about in my head to myself for over a year. And I just never thought to bring it up because it happened to me when I was so young that I just assumed that I forgot. And it's this one over here. Okay, and when I was talking with Listerine, yeah, and when me and Danny were talking about it, he's like, wait a minute. He looked it up, and within 5 seconds flat, he found it with LY, like I recall it, Listerine, LY. And I was like, wow, I never even thought to look it up. I never thought to look for residual. It didn't matter to me. It was like, I just know it was LY when I was a child, but why wouldn't I ever bring it up as a possible Mandela effect? Because it happened so long ago. Same thing with McDonald's. I didn't bring it up until somebody else did. They talked about that on the Mandela effect site. And I jumped in and I'm thinking, it was McDonald's, MAC. And I started to think about when I recalled. I was like, wait a minute. I recall this. This is about, I knew how old I was. So I pinpointed it to 79.
Really?
Yeah, I was driving by it, and all I thought was, wow, they really modernized their sign. I didn't think, oh, they took the A out and squished the word together. All I thought was they modernized it. When I look at the name Paul McCartney, I look at McCartney and say, it's a modern name. It's a modernized way to look at it. And I don't recall the MAC. I vaguely do with people mentioning it and bringing it up. I can't be sure with that. That's one of those things where I'm so close to it, I may not notice a change. You know, that seems to happen.
Yeah.
But with the McDonald's, how come they don't have Mac Nuggets? You know, they got the Big Mac.
Yeah.
Why not Mac Nuggets?
Because the Nuggets came out long after the fact. They're not that old. Well, they are now, but they're relatively newer.
But at the time, there was already a shift. It was McDonald's. And then they come out with, hey, let's do these little chicken things and call them McNuggets. I mean, not Mac Nuggets, because that's not where we were. I mean,
right at the time.
Right.
Yep. For me, I mentioned it before. It was in either 1998 or 1999. A friend of ours, we went through the McDonald's drive-through, and there's 4 of us there. And he starts getting like basically like a Mandela flipped out person, like getting almost irate over it was McDonald's. Why is it McDonald's, right? And he started like, you know, tripping on a little. Now, I don't know if it had just changed very recently or if he just realized it, you know. And I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, yeah, it's a Big Mac. And I had memory of referencing that spelling when I was a kid. It's the exact same spelling as Mac. And I'm like, yeah, that seems right, man. It wasn't the day where the internet, you know, back in even at that period, people didn't use the internet a lot for a source of information, you know, or to confirm things or whatever. So, I don't know. We were thinking like, you think it would have been on the news or something, or you think everyone would have known that they changed the name, and there was at least two of us, if not all of us, kind of half agreed with them. And then, you know, it gets forgotten. We're just like, well, I don't know, whatever. And a day or two goes by, no one thinks of it anymore, you know?
Yeah. And how did not thousands of people notice that? Thousands, hundreds of thousands.
Freaking millions, dude. It's all over the world.
That's right.
It's incredible.
It said right on the sign, over 1 million served. You'd think back then that's what they had on that sign, right? Over 1 million served. Right. And it was over 2 million or hundreds of thousands. I mean,
it was millions, definitely millions at that point.
It got up to millions. And then I remember it changed to billions and billions. And that's the way they kept it for, I don't know, however long. Interesting.
Yeah, it's funny how these memories or stories come back to you. You're like, wow, that was changed way back then, or whatever, you know. I certainly do question, like, it comes into question whether things change for people at the same time or not, or in the same regions of the world at the same time or not, or what's going on. I mean, I guess I could throw in the idea of who's on what timeline or what reality at what time, at what moment in the date, or what year. But, and of course, it just depends if people notice, you know, when they happen to notice. They're not necessarily going to notice right away. But these things don't always seem to have the same period of when it changed for people. There does seem to be a variance there. So I don't know, you know, time's a weird thing, and memories and your recall of memories is a weird thing. It's really odd.
So, well, you know what I've been thinking? Somebody mentioned it on one of those shows recently, Dark City, you know the movie?
Oh yeah, I know it well, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how I'm like, oh wow, that's kind of what's going on with us. Now you mentioned downloads. And you're like, oh, you didn't get the download, or, oh, you got the download. I need you to explain that to me. I also want us to go through some quantum entanglement, as much as I kind of have a better idea on it now that we spoke about it earlier. But Um,
Yeah, I could give you, like, with the download.
that's what I really want to get into. I want to understand it because today I got a lot of ringing in the ears. Now,
Yeah,
the last time
there
I
may be a
talked about
relation or
it,
connection there.
well, that's the thing. I just assumed that's what it was. And when I first started hitting these high pitched noises, these high pitched rings, it wasn't that disease. And I had a friend of mine back 2001 always talked about no, I'm sorry, he did not talk about the ringing in his ears. But apparently that's why he offed himself because he couldn't take it anymore. I'm calling total bullshit on that whole thing. Besides that, um, they were talking about it on that site, the On a Broom site, and almost, I'd say 60-75% of the people that were on that site would have ringing in the ears. Or that other thing with the eyes, where your eyes would, the only way I can describe it is lightning, rainbow lightning through the eyes, where you can't really see anything. That happens to me once a year. There's a name for that too. I always wondered if that had some kind of correlation. But with the downloads, the ringing in the ears, I only put it together because of that site. And then every time I would hear the ringing in the ears, I'd back up a step and I'd like try and hum a song, or I would
That's
try.
a good idea. Change the frequency of the sound.
Now
That's a good idea, man.
That's what I was getting at. Is that actually doing something? I would hum at a
Quite
different
possibly.
pitch.
Yeah, well, I think it depends what the ringing is, of course, to begin with. It's worth the while. It's worth there's no reason not to give it a shot. I've done it once or twice myself when the ringing hit me hard. Yeah, just to hum a tune or whatever. But yeah, I probably have like two different theories on the ringing in the ears. And of course, it could be something else altogether. I mean, it might be involved in just shifting different times or places or something, but I could be. There's two main things I think it might be, and I'll just tell you in the order that I kind of learned the possibility or figured out the possibility. I don't really see either one any greater than the other. I do think it's quite likely related to a change, right? A change of something. The first one goes hand in hand with my theory of. I just see myself presenting absolutely nothing here. Weird.
Oh, is that me? That's me.
Why it's doing that? Maybe. Yeah, I thought it was me just displaying a screen.
I don't know what I'm doing here. That's
It was too. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so with the ringing, I think it's my best theories of one of two things. One, if there's a technology involved to manipulate reality, so going along that line, which my main one is actually in connection or relation to CERN spinning the particle beams around, the big circle giant particle beams. Everyone just thinks about the collision. I think it's more than that. I think it's the spinning of the particles creating waves that go out. So that alone, and I've even referenced to it like a long time ago in the past to people in my comments saying, yeah, they spin around at 10,000 and I think it's 10,002, 10,300 times per second. And that would make, in direct relation, it would be equivalent to 10.2, 10.3 kilohertz of a tone. And you can even get an app to make a 10 kilohertz sound. I was like, go listen to that and see if it sounds the same to you. And sure enough, people are like, I think you're onto something because that sounds the same. But I mean, if you get a 10 kilohertz or a 15 or 20 kilohertz sound, it's kind of hard for your ears to tell the difference. But it is up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're pretty good.
What do you mean?
Well, if you could figure out which hertz it is and which frequency is coming in.
Well, it's in direct relation, sure. So the particle beams, yeah, I have some technology training, definitely. I'm an electronics guy. So the particle beams spin around the circle 10,000 something times per second. There's actually two of them going in opposite directions, and then they collide them in 4 different locations, which they conveniently don't really point out to you too often. and I imagine some sequence as well sort of creates like a spiral sequence. But just the spinning alone, by default, I would claim, but especially if there's an ether, which essentially they've proven there is an ether by proving that there is the Higgs particle. So they've proven this. They've proven the theory that was written decades beforehand. They would be creating a wave that goes out. It'd just be like a circle wave going out, very similar to a speaker, really, where it goes out evenly in a circle. But if those beams are going around at 10,000 something times per second, that's equivalent. That's a cycle. 1 cycle, 2 cycle, 3 cycle, right? Your cycles determines your hertz. So many times per second, and it's 10,000 something times per second. That would be directly related. Would be a hertz number. Like your speaker moves up and down. If you're hearing a 10 hertz signal, that thing's moving up and down essentially 10,000 times per second. It doesn't really look like it to the eye, although no, you can't see your speaker go that high frequency anyway. But yeah, so it's moving that many times per second, the frequency. So yeah, you can try that. That's one theory, that basically the collider's running is creating this tone within either reality, like basically the ether, or maybe just in the air, because we do exist in an atmosphere.
I'd go with
definitely
the way it comes in, the way I hear it. I would say it's in my head.
Yeah, exactly. It's almost on the quantum level, like it's right inside the existence of reality or something. Yeah, very deep down. The other one being, I came across some information on, I wish I could remember the word for it. I'll have to look it up. Hyper is what I think of, but hemisync. There's a term called hemisync.
I've heard that. What is that?
Basically, it's a device that is often used. What do they use it for? Helping people astral project, perhaps, or hypnotism. It's in relation to stuff like that. So what it is, it's a sound in one ear, let's say 100 hertz, and then in the other ear, in the other headphone, they'll do 101 hertz or 110 hertz. So it's a slight difference from one ear to the other. And it causes your brain to, when they show the picture of it, to focus in the middle. So it causes a balancing effect, essentially, for some reason, or a focusing effect in your brain activity.
Is that the sound that, no, that's something different. Hemisync.
Yeah, it could be related, but definitely you can just, you're like, someone can Google hemisync. So in connection to that, I'm thinking, because I already had in the back of my head, because of some personal experiences, that I really think a good possibility that there is some hypnosis activity going on. I refer to it as psychic hypnosis because it's in the but if you set people up for it, and this ringing in the ears, it isn't ringing in the ears, is it? No, it's ringing in the ear. It's always one ear or the other, it seems like, for people. For me, it always seems to be in my left ear, is it? Or my right ear, I can't even remember. But anyway, I don't get it that often. Usually, so it seems to be like, yeah.
I was going to say, usually it's my left ear, but I've gotten it in both. And what I've tried doing, and I don't think this was a good thing. I think probably 10, 15 videos ago, I said, you know what, when I get the ringing in my ears, I'm going to accept it. I'm going to take it in instead of fighting it, because I was always fighting it. I was always trying to, and I didn't realize it until you said it, I was always trying to change the frequency or disrupt the frequency by humming or singing a song or, doing something like that. And instead of doing that, I said, wait a minute, what if this is what I'm supposed to be getting? What if this is what I'm supposed to be doing? I said, how about let me accept it? So I started to accept it in for a while, and I didn't feel right about that. It just didn't seem natural. It didn't seem right. So I just kind of stopped, whether it mattered or not. I was backing up saying, no, I don't need that. I don't know what that's part of. So, and what is it? Is this download? Because that's how I am. That's how I'm correlating it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be. So it might, the first thing I'd mentioned, just might be in connection to things changing, Or it might be as the second idea, it might be in relation to setting you up, making you susceptible to a download, to a manipulation, which is essentially, you know, changing your memory, getting you in a position, just like a hypnotist got to get you hypnotized, right? Got to get you set up and relaxed and whatever before you can go to work. This would be a similar type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan of it. As far as the downloads, yeah, like Dan had mentioned it on his show early on. Like I had my own experiences, but I didn't talk about it on any of my videos yet. I was really waiting for the right time to put stuff together, and I ended up talking about it on his show when he had me on the first time. But like in his case, he has a good story with his dad. His dad just like started spitting out information about Brasilia, like he was reading it off Wikipedia, and it was ridiculous to him, you know, how he knew all those details so strong and so fresh in his memory, when his dad shouldn't really care about any of that information, shouldn't really know much of any of it. Like he's given the whole story and everything on it. And to him, and I think there's plenty of people that have mentioned similar things with people, like asking people about Mandela effects, and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, they get the download. I know Matt from Quantum of Consciousness that had said that about a friend, you know, people just sort of blink and all of a sudden here they pause for a moment. See, people, here's the thing that I've come to understand from my experiences. People see this pause and then all of a sudden people have all the information, or they agree all of a sudden with all the updated situation effects. But I don't think they're getting a download at that moment. That's not what's happening. What's happening is they're accessing a memory that has never been accessed before consciously. It's an event or a scenario that played out on them already, just like a dream or just like a memory played out and is stored in there, and then they go to access it and there it is. They're accessing it consciously for the first time, and they're like, oh yeah, blah 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 blah, I remember that. Yeah, well, the memory that they're remembering is BS. It didn't really happen. And I had a lot of those happen to me, like although I was aware, and sadly no one else. I've come across a handful of people that have situations where they have double memories, and they say it's like really weird sometimes, or they say it's like kind of deja vu of double memories. And I know one girl, with when I put out the video of Kiss video, the photograph, the famous photograph, she watched my video when she started commenting saying like, all of this is so weird, like every detail you're saying step by step, it's like I already heard it before, and all of the reasons why, but at the same time all of the reasons why it's true, as if she was, oh, that's what it was, she had a memory of reading like a newspaper article all about it, and how, you know, there was 2 pictures or 3 or 5 pictures, there was 2 photographers, it was taken a day or 2 ahead of time before the war really ended, blah 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 blah. But when her memory of reading that article went exactly in the order that I did my video, identical. Like, oh, wow. She said it was all like deja vu weird stuff. And she said she doesn't read that freaking newspaper ever. That's a dumb, or that magazine or something. She said none of it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, what it is, it's the update. But get this, the update clearly is so good. Something is so good that it knew, likely, I would claim she knew she was going to watch, or they knew she was going to watch my video. It knew the content of my video and redid it. Now I'm putting that across in a very logical 5 cents way, but I think it goes way deeper than that. But I would suggest basically the whole situation is outside of time. Time's not a factor, right? It isn't like, because you look at the scale of millions of people, it's crazy that someone or something or some computer is figuring out people's futures and covering up for it. Like, it's just incomprehensible to us. It's on a different level, right? This is a spiritual thing, is the simplest way I can put it. We're dealing with stuff that is not restricted to time. And the complex and scale of logical physical reality is not a factor either. It's just not a factor. It's no big deal. Like, that's the only way I can explain it, right? Otherwise it's impossible. It's ridiculous, but it's happening. So she was a really good example. I was like, wow, I can't believe you're telling me this. That's so awesome. For my personal experiences, it was things that, you know, it wasn't like things that played out in the future too much. It was just individual Mandela effects. I can list you a couple. I can read you a couple off if you want, but
Please. I'm curious before you do. So do you feel the ringing is the download, or do you think it may be connected?
no, I just think it might be connected. The download, as far as I understand, well, here's the thing. It either happens, my experience is it either happens in a dream or in a dreamlike state that's outside of time. Like, I know this from my experience. So it could happen anytime. Maybe it only happens at night. Maybe the fact all the Mandela effect people, or a lot of us, don't like sleeping at night is a good thing, right? Because maybe crap goes down at 3 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. or whatever, right? Or is a common time for it. So maybe not sleeping at night's a good thing. Who knows, right? But yeah, for me, it happens basically, or it happened. It hasn't happened to me in forever. It kind of sucks that, you know, well, if it's not, I don't remember it happening. And I would suggest it happens to all of us. Like, every one of us Mandela people have had to try to take it down, or try to be reprogrammed, or a download. I don't want to put it in ways that it's restricted, but generally
No,
the concept.
I know. I thought about that. I'm like,
I would suggest that.
It sounds like a computer. It sounds like we're in a computer program.
Yeah.
Download. And I'm like, well,
yeah, just for lack of a better term.
I understand
It's all it is.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
There are aspects of it. There are aspects of it that I definitely start ruling out certain possibilities that I would consider. But I would suggest that everybody has fought off some of these, and probably a lot of ordinary everybody people has actually rejected some of these downloads simply by questioning it when this information is presented to them, whether it comes as direct information or a visual or a scenario that plays out just like everyday life, but it's really more of a dreamlike state. You don't realize it. There's all different things that happen. But just by simply questioning it at that moment, not being a sheeple, right? Being a truther. That's why there's one of the most common things, truthers, because they'll simply say, yeah, that don't seem right to me. Even if it's, here's the thing, in a dreamlike state, even when it's yourself telling you this, I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's almost what happens. Even when it's yourself telling you this information, because you're a truther and you already went through this big change in life where you realize the world is full of shit, right? Something's like, I've been lied to all my life, damn it, you know, everything's a lie, you know, like all the truther stuff. You've already experienced that. You've already realized you can be wrong, and you're willing to question your own memories or your own, you know, your own ego or whatever, to be wrong. Be like, yeah, this is whatever. You know, you've already experienced that. I think that alone has set people up in a position when the downloads come, so to speak. They're willing. They have the willpower or whatever, even to question their own thoughts. To be like, yeah, that doesn't seem right. You know, that's all you have to do to reject it, is to question it, not to accept that information as good information. I hope that makes sense anyway.
Well, it does.
Maybe
it seems like too easy of a way to stop the downloads, to notice the yellow yield.
But you don't. Yeah, but you're not fighting it consciously. It's a subconscious thing. So you can't just say to yourself, oh, I'm going to question all information that comes to me. It isn't like that. The more you are a Mandela affected person, and the more you're willing to question your own memories, I think that's a helpful or a healthy exercise, right? You'd be like, oh, I remember it this way. And you'd be like, I wonder if that's really true. Is that really correct? I know it sounds kind of crazy and might drive somebody mad if they do it too much, but exercise to do. Question your own thoughts, your own memories. And people, I mean, another kind of commonality within the Mandela effect people are fairly intelligent. There's not a real lot of dumb people. I hate to put it that way, but it's true. Most Mandela affected people are fairly intelligent, which what goes hand in hand with that is thinking about your own thoughts, right? You think about stuff. You're simply a thinker, or when my character, a thinker. It's one of the reasons why I like them. But just to think about your own thoughts is a very healthy thing. You're not a damn sheep. You're not a zombie. You're a robot, or you don't just react. You're not an animal. You're not reactive. It's what makes us human. Animals don't think, I'm pretty convinced, animals don't think about their own thoughts. They don't sit there and be like, I'm really cranky today, right? Animals don't do that. They are just cranky. They can't decide not to be cranky, right? They can't just be like, screw that, I'm not going to be cranky anymore. Animals don't do that. Humans can, because we can think about our own thoughts. It's what makes us human. Yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling here. Sorry.
Oh, please don't stop. Are you kidding me?
Here I was thinking I was going to be all asleep and freaking dopey tonight. Out of it, I'm getting my wound up.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So,
or whatever deity you believe in.
I do get worked up over this stuff, dude.
That's good. I do too.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
So this might be a little bit of a recap for a few people, but I'll go ahead and mention a few of these sort of quote unquote updates, or I get it labeled here as a personal update or a memory update. And of course, it's just ones that I happen to remember. I would say there's probably been plenty. Most of them I don't remember. There's quite possibly plenty of them that I didn't even reject. You know, maybe I took the update. I'm sure there was for many of them. There's many different factors or levels or reasons why you may or may not take it, right? But yeah, for me, it started out. The first one was right after I found out about Mandela effect and all the basics, you know. I went to visit my ex-girlfriend. We were, you know, just broke up in recent times, and I was like trying to tell her about it. And I'm like, do you remember? It's like, you remember Fruit Loops? I was going to say, it really changed, right? You remember when we were in the grocery store and you held up the box of Fruit Loops and you were like, Fruit Loops, it's like when they changed that. And I said that, oh, they probably had to change it because of legalities. There's no real fruit in there. They have name to keep from getting sued or something. And then you held up a box of Captain Crunch, and I'm the one literally that made up the excuse for her, or for the change to her. I'm the one making up the excuses. And she's like, what? I'm like, you don't remember that 3 weeks ago? Like, you don't remember that? Like, this is important right now. You got to remember this. And she's like, no. And then what clued me in, I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, we haven't been a very long time. Like, I don't think we've gone to the grocery store in months. I'm like, something doesn't add up here. And at that moment, I still didn't really, you know, get the whole concept of a memory update or anything, but I knew that was weird, you know. And I remember that. So
sure. Similar things have been
that was a big
to
one.
me. I've been remembering things in the past that I know didn't happen.
Right.
Having memories of past events that I just know didn't take place. I mean, how's that possible? Did I see? And now I'm going to get into theories. Did I shift my consciousness into a timeline where those things did happen?
Right. Well, there's a lot of my other situations that I recalled that starts, for me, it starts factoring out a lot of possibilities, canceling out a lot of possibilities. One of them was the Middle East. And this is a weird one. I did a video called Double Mandela. It isn't a very good video, but the odd thing about it was I was watching a Stasha Erickson video very early on, like very in the very beginning. And she showed a little clip of a map. It was literally like Google Maps, not Google Earth, but Google Maps, with Saudi Arabia, a part of the Middle East, cut out and shifted down like it was an island. I'm like, that's weird. And then I noticed on that globe from The Simpsons, people were trying to claim that was North and South America one, but what I noticed on it is on that globe, there's an island in the Middle East has a big island portion, which is completely wrong. Like, you do not draw like that. And I'm like, wow, that's weird. And I know right at that moment, you know, Saudi Arabia is not an island. The Middle East is not an island. I'd already confirmed that. And, but I also had a memory of that. This is what's weird. Someone came up with the idea, whether they were bullshitting or not for this video, that she just happened to show on her, a little bit of a mirroring on her video. And then the Simpsons thing that had it going on. And then I had a memory of the same idea. I'm like, I remember being in a situation and somebody was telling me about that. But almost, I couldn't remember if they told me or if it was a visual they were showing me. It seemed like they just told me, or the information, they were giving me this information, whatever. I couldn't remember the details, but I remembered that. And I remember thinking, that's not right. Like, that's weird, right? The Middle East is not an island. So I remembered, I was like, that's wrong. I got to go check that out, right? I got to go look at a map. And I was like, I can't. I'm like, no, I really got to go look at a map right now. Like, this is crazy. It's really bothering me. Like, that doesn't seem right at all. I got to go find a map, right? And it was like, I can't. And I was like, and I'm literally like, I started arguing with myself. It's weird. I'm like, but I can't. I'm like, but I really, really want to. But you can't. And I'm like, well, why not? Right? I just got frustrated. Why not? And there was this big long pause. And like, literally, I was trying to figure out why I couldn't go look at a map right now. And then I was like, oh, I'm at work. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll look at a map after work. It's the weirdest, stupidest, most ridiculous, illogical memory, right? Like, I had to figure out that I was at work. Like, it's so stupid, right? The whole thing's bullshit. And it is very foggy, very similar to a dream. It's like a foggy memory, right? But clearly it doesn't make sense anyway. It's illogical. So that's another situation that, and it's really strange to me that there's these other depictions in the world of the same thing. Like, so I started questioning, you know, was it something that changed and changed back? Or is it disinformation? That's another thing that has crossed my really changed. The idea was put out there in the ether, let's call it, or in the updates to certain people, especially people that are good at geography. But I don't know. It could have been a change and a change back. That's what I was thinking originally. That's why I made a video called Double Mandela, but it's not a great video.
And it changed back. That's a big thing.
That's what I started thinking.
Thing going on.
Yeah.
But I had, I don't know if I want to call it a memory or, see, it wasn't a daydream because I remember this as a dream, but it was, I was standing there observing. How else do I put it? I was observing me and me discussing what to do with me. I'm being attacked. I'm being attacked. You see this?
Yeah.
Yeah, me
That's
and
a strange one.
that's Prince back here hiding. Oh, I thought you meant, oh no, the dream. Yeah, I sat and it was plain as day, and I don't dream.
3 of you, not 2 of you.
And I don't recall my dreams very often, but when I do, it's quite the experience. Yeah, and I was observing to the point where I want to say I was involved, like I kind of had a say, because it was me and me discussing what to do with me, as opposed to doing something. What were we going to do with me, or what are we going to do with me? You know, that's, well, this one, it was this me. Here's what we're going to do with them, and that was right around when I started having all the big experiences in 15, probably after they started happening, but that's when I had the dream. This is what we're going to do with them. All right, let's do them here. Let's do it here. And it was like a game. It was like it didn't matter. Let's put them here and see what happens. You know, I found that strange.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was
very similar.
Very vivid.
Yeah. No, that's strange. My guess on that is really out there, because I caught a guy on the internet, on YouTube's early on, and I could never find him again. I think he deleted his channel, but he was the weirdest dude. Like, man, if anyone heard this guy, they just be like, dude's crazy, and turn him off, right? Because he did sound crazy, but he was like a bigger dude. He would, no, nobody knows who he was. It was so early on, and he only had made a handful of videos, and I lost track of him. No idea. I looked for him again months later, but we're talking over near a year and a half ago now. But he was like a bigger dude. He had a big froish hair, but I think he was kind of light skinned or tan skinned. And what he would do, he'd wake up, he's in the dark almost, right? Like, you couldn't really see his face. He's in almost fairly dark room. And he would wake up and he'd make a YouTube video. And he'd go on. I remember there was 2 things in particular. Like, he would talk about traveling, like going places and waking up in strange places and having strange memories and stuff. And one of them, he's like, I remember I remember waking up and looking around and thinking, you guys need some girls here. And that struck me as very true. Like, how do you make that up, or why would you make that up, right? There's something about that, because it's in direct connection to in China and other Asian countries. Like, that's a very true thing. Like, someone have to be pretty knowledgeable just to make that up. It's a weird thing to say. And then he had another one I remember he was going on about. He can remember being moved around and hearing voices saying, put him over here. We need to put him over here. And it was like they put him wherever, you know, as if maybe he was being moved around, like his spirit or his soul or his consciousness or something. Freaking weird stuff, man.
That's similar.
And he would wake up as somebody. Yeah, it does have a similarity to yours. Yeah, like, what should we do with them? Or, yeah, we need to put them over here. Like, I got no idea what could be going on. You know, who's moving what and what power they have and what reasons they're moving it. Is it good? Is it bad? It's pretty weird. And of course, you know, to somebody who's strongly religious, that sounds outrageous. You know, like, that sounds like, who has that power? That's not possible. You know, well, someone had something. Reality's changing, so you got to consider some stuff here. And I was considering this guy. I'm like, this guy's stories are so far out there, they must be true. Like, it is at least the memory of it, right? And he's just regurgitating memories. So they were out there, and he seemed truthful, whatever. He seemed very nervous. He was a very timid dude, you know, he was nervous. It seemed like a very good possibility. He wasn't fabricating. He was telling them what he understood. He disappeared though. Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, physical reality gets in the way. I mean, you still have to go to work and pay the bills, and that's really bizarre. But I want to apologize to everybody in chat. Hi, everybody. I'm not monitoring it or watching it or anything. I do see that we got. I guess I should put a hammer in there, huh? Just to keep. I don't know, just in case. But, oh, Kushner's in there, Scott's in there. All right, so.
Good. Yeah, there's a few people here.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll tell you at least one more. I mean, what do I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Over a dozen examples of memory update or related memories. Actually, I could hit you a couple really short ones right quick. I have a memory of watching a documentary about the Mona Lisa and how they were cleaning it. You know, they were doing a routine cleaning that they do every so many years or a decade or two or whatever. Mm-hmm. And of course, they do it with very specialized stuff that won't affect the paint. But for some reason, some paint started coming off, and they're like, that should not happen. That cannot happen. Like, it cannot happen. They know this, but it is. And it's not supposed to be there. And it turns out that the Mona Lisa is actually smiling more than they thought. Somebody had painted it over after the fact. And it was like this discovery. Well, it wasn't even until so many months ago. Actually, I was talking to Z-Watch, a couple of others there, and we looked into it. I'm like, that's not true. That documentary doesn't even exist at all. No, it doesn't exist. That's bullshit. Like, wow. I'm like, I actually thought it was the case. I thought it was a cover-up Mandela video documentary, right? No, it actually isn't even real at all. Like, wow, it's crazy. What's that? Sorry, you still hear me? No? Okay. Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, don't know why I did that. I'm still trying to figure out why I'm the only one on the screen. Can't get you to pop up at all. But I'm just, what did I say? Oh, so this documentary doesn't exist.
No, that doesn't exist. Yeah, that's the end of that. Short and sweet, crazy, weird. I don't know. I had this documentary, must have been pumped into my head because it was like a TV show. Yeah, same with
what you told me. It sounds like it's real.
What, sounds familiar, you mean?
No, it's no. Unfortunately for
It sounds
you, no,
realistic.
I don't. Yes, I mean the way you're saying it, I'm like, oh, absolutely, I
Right.
believe it.
Yeah, well, that's just it. Like, I don't even think my own mind made it up. I think it was literally something that was pumped in my head from a different place. It seems like it was way too detailed. It was way too real. Here's weird. Gets almost weirder in a different way. Is I have a memory of watching a documentary called "The Windsurfer from Cuba." But when the Mandela effect first happened to me, I Googled distance to Cuba or distance Florida to Cuba or something. The very first video that pops up without even touching the video tab is the windsurfer from Cuba. And like, that's a real doc. I'm like, I watched that. I can't believe I watched that video. But the thing is, I didn't watch the video. I know I didn't. Because for almost 2 years, dude, I never watched anything on YouTube. I never watched anything on TV. I come home, I listen to my RBN show, and I play my game. And while I smoke a joint, I did the same thing for like 2 years, dude. I never watched anything random on the internet. I never watched any TV. I listened to my freaking conspiracy radio show on RBN, and I play my game, smoke my dope. That's it. I'm like, I know the memory is fresher than, within a year or less. There's no way I watched that, but I did. And sure, I'm like, there it is. It's a real documentary. Now, I haven't looked online to see if that real documentary still exists. For all I know, maybe it was some fabrication on my screen at that moment. I don't know. But as far as I knew, I did look it up. I did end up running into it. It's a real documentary.
That's like the thing that happened with me when I was researching the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean meeting up. And you can actually see the difference that they do not mix. Now, there was all kinds of other excuses going on with that because I never heard of that. But that does that actually exist? But when I was researching, I was coming across the same video 30 times, just people redoing it. And it was one video. It's the only video they've ever had of these two oceans coming together. And but then more information was coming in. So I'm trying to correlate this with what you're saying. Is this just Google catching up? Because when I did the crystal, Picard's crystal, and I looked it up, same thing with you with the yield sign. I mean, just like you said yesterday, or when you put it up yesterday, nothing but red triangles, and now there's all kinds of different ones except the diamond. And
I know.
Is this Google catching up, and why is that?
I can tell you an aspect to consider in the mix of that. I mean, I certainly have a great deal of nefarious workings, of course. I had come from a lot of that angle, but I can tell you there's been many times I search for something, a change, like looking for residue, and I'll find some in a Google search, and it'll be there. And in the little sampling of information from a website that I haven't clicked on yet, right there it is. Actually, I got a couple snippets saved. One of them is for the Rock of Gibraltar. So in the snippet or whatever in the Google search, it'll say the island of Gibraltar, and then I go into the article, the news article, and it says the Rock of Gibraltar or whatever, or the point or something else. But it's the exact same sentence. All of the sentences the same. So this means that, see, how Google works is that Google doesn't search the internet for you. Google already searched the internet and has all the information stored in data and in metadata, meaning just the words, right? Just simple words. It doesn't save the pictures or anything. So it's a lot simpler for Google to take all kinds to sweep the internet and save a bunch of data. And then when you do a search, it can search to all this information extremely quick without actually having to go out and hit all kinds of different computers in the world. And so what you're getting is old information on that Google search screen. And then when you click in, obviously that web page was updated already, and Google basically two things: never got the update and never swept the internet, that portion of the internet yet again since the change. So what that means to me is that whatever's going on is not 100% directed, or it doesn't have the foundation of like the World Wide Web computers and the corporations like Google, the big mega giant Google, right? Because, or the people running it or people connected to it, let's say, completely behind it, they own Google. Like that would be one of the first things taking the freaking update, right? They would see to it, right? But it's not. So that doesn't mean, I mean, I don't want to rule anything out, but I'm just pointing out that it's not as simple as there's a supercomputer in the world that is going for the first round, right? And changing things in the first round. There's no supercomputer involved in that for the first round. Now, maybe similar to what you're saying, they probably do, or quite possibly there are supercomputers that go back after the fact and start cleaning up the internet or updating the internet or whatever, right? Sure. And it has, I've seen evidence of that as well, where people's Google searches change in a blink, man. Like we had that happen to us with the Statue of Liberty. It was freaking weird. There was no information about this right foot. We're all looking for right foot stuff. Then all of a sudden, all three of us at once on Discord were like, what the hell? This wasn't here a minute ago. And it's all this information about how there was a bombing underneath, inside the building underneath the Statue of Liberty, when all these Chechnya Russians blew up a bomb in the 80s inside the Statue of Liberty, and it's right under the right foot. I'm like, what is that? You're right, that wasn't here a minute ago. Like all of us just refreshed the exact same search. And we're like, wow. It was almost like history was being rewritten to help cover something up or make an excuse for why the, and the thing is, this doesn't explain why the foot is lifted, but it would explain if there's some sort of distortion in the metal. I'm totally just, you know, guessing here, right? Mm-hmm. Theorizing. Distortion in the metal or something wrong, it can be blamed on the bomb, right? And it's kind of similar to if there's a distortion or something wrong in the metal of the arm, there's like, oh, well, there was an explosion in New Jersey and you just can't go up there anymore and you haven't been able to in a long time, right? Well, maybe there's something wrong with the arm. There was, technically, even from their story, there's something wrong with the arm. It wasn't safe. Well, maybe it wasn't safe or it wasn't available to go up for a different reason, right? Because things have been moved around. Just a guess. But anyway, my main point to that is, yeah, I've more than once, that's just one example, but more than once, we've seen Google or the internet seem to update or change very quickly, as if it's trying to catch up, kind of like what you were saying.
Funny you mentioned use an example as the Statue of Liberty. I mean, you and Dan were on looking at the map, and it just amazed me because there's those, and I can only remember the three that we're talking about here. It's Ellis Island, Liberty Island, and I don't know what that other island is. With the one that Dan said, Governor Island. That's the one the Statue of Liberty was on. Yeah. And they had that diamond shape in there. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Go over to Ellis Island. They got that circle. Well, that circle used to have a bunch of points out of it. Last year when I was looking at it, I'm going, wait a minute. That's where the Statue of Liberty was. It was on Ellis Island, and that circle is where they put it. I was standing at that wall looking up at it. Where it's at now, you can't get that close to it to look up at it from that position. And Dan's going, no, but because of Battery Park, this is where I was standing, this is where I was looking, it was on that island. And I'm like, wait a minute, both of us know you know, it's not where it was now. That's the thing. You know, it's on Liberty Island now, and didn't even exist for me until Fringe showed up, the TV show Fringe. That's the first time I ever heard of Liberty Island. But I just thought that was amazing. I'm like, we're looking at three different islands. It's on one island. I'm sure. I mean, it's like I have pictures of this. And I don't think you can really say, oh, this is the island it's on. That's not, my pictures aren't far back enough to say that's the island. But they are, I'm going to have to look at them again. They are close enough to where you can see we're close enough to the Statue of Liberty, I think, and that wall. I'm going to have to look at them again. But that's interesting.
It is a lot bigger, right? And for me, it makes sense that island would have been a lot bigger. The Statue of Liberty probably would have been a fair bit bigger. But right now, all of New York City is basically much smaller. Like the setting of the water and the land masses is all squeezed together, right? So it does make sense that she could have been standing on a much bigger island. And now that she's on a smaller one, it doesn't make everything else look smaller. Everything is sort of small. Like, I don't know. It just fits for me really well.
We said that. We said one of the things that seems like happen is everything is shrinking in on itself. And like you said, with the United States, you know, with the consolidation.
The whole globe as well. Yeah, it's all shrinking.
I've been looking at the Gulf of Mexico, and to me, the actual Gulf looks bigger. Mexico looks smaller to me.
It is. Yeah.
And it looks like, Alaska is thinned out. I don't know how else to explain it. It just does not look the way it looked the last time I looked at it. It thinned out. I don't know.
The places I noticed right away, you know, your typical Australia and South America, and Japan, I have to say, is like a huge one. And actually it bugs me because there was two or three really good geography people in the beginning. I was totally matching up. I'm like, yes, you know, yes, right? And they'd look at Japan and be like, Mongolia is bigger. Korea belongs down here, which I get caught on. I'm telling you, it didn't change, but it's almost like a disinfo. Like, it's my view. It didn't change. I really researched into that, and I checked with people from Asia, and they were like, they lost it, man. There was one dude that, like, he wouldn't even talk to me. He was just not doing well. Yeah, he worked at the gas station. I went down. He's from India.
For me,
and
the Korea was like, should be a lot more south. But God, I'm interrupting you.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I think it was disinfo. It's information that came in that is not true. The funny thing is I didn't know for sure, and that's damn near should have known for sure without even considering. And I had to, and I started agreeing with everybody. Yeah, North and South America belongs down there, hang down with Vietnam and Thailand and stuff, off of China, off the bottom end of China. And then I can still consider I could be wrong, but there's a number of things that led me to believe otherwise. This guy in the gas station that I talked to, a friend from India, and also my memory of the freaking North Koreans dressing heavy, like the military people or whoever's in charge, and seeing steam coming out of their mouth. I have clear memory of that from very young age. I'm like, yeah, they were in a cooler climate, if that makes sense. But this guy at the gas station, I went and talked to him, and I'm like, okay, so India's here, and I put my hand up. I'm like, is North and South Korea kind of hang down even, or is it up near Russia, right? He's like, oh, it's up near Russia, right? Not connect. They shouldn't be touching. It is now a little bit, and that has even changed more recently. I like, okay, Japan. Should Japan be, right off the east coast of China, or should it be up off Korea's? He's like, it's south of Korea. It's next to China. I'm like, no. And yeah, and then he couldn't see it at that point, but that night I imagine he checked it, and he's like, I don't know. He wouldn't talk about nothing no more, poor guy. I really shook his world up. But maybe I can't rule out that there's possibility something's wrong there, but yeah, I think anyway, yeah, Japan's an important change is the main point of all that. Really,
I remember that being one island.
There was people not all that too. Yeah, the things freaking falling apart, along with many things in the world.
Yeah.
It was one island, and it didn't really have much of a curve to it at all. It was fairly straight, like not a complete rectangle, but it didn't have the hard arc to it. And then it was moved. It was an arc, and now it started falling. I think it's in 3 islands now or something. It's horrendous. It's just falling apart.
I agree. Now these things seem to me that they're becoming more personal. At least for me, they are. As far as I know, I was the only one running around at the bar and running around on YouTube asking everybody, what color is the yield sign? And at first, for about a year, everybody would say yellow. And I wouldn't go on, the shape never occurred to me. And then I'd say 6 months ago, it might have hit me, people started saying red. And it's funny because all I kept thinking to myself was, oh, they must have got the download. And I don't even know what I'm talking about when I know what I mean when I say that. So So I'm like, they started saying red, and I'm like, wow, okay, it's red. And then I'm driving one day, and I see this a square on its side. So it looks like a diamond. It's a square, red, yield, right in the middle, plain as day. And I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to ask them what shape it is if they say red. And every time I've asked them, they said it's an upside down triangle. And like you said, when I mentioned this to you, you know, you looked it up. You didn't argue with me. You know, it's like,
No.
so you vaguely remember me talking about it, or you do remember me talking about it. And we looked it up, and nobody said, no, it's not. It's a triangle. That it was actually a diamond. But, you know, I had one guy at the bar tell me, yeah, it was a diamond. And I was telling him, no, not anymore. It's back to the upside down triangle. My point is, I was the only one, as far as I know, talking about it, saying it. And now for 2 months, I'm running around saying it's a red diamond. And just when I was at the hot springs, when I was talking about that guy, that was the question I asked him. What color's the yield sign? And he went, I didn't think so, but it's red. And I said, what shape is it? He goes, and then he stopped, because I didn't ask him this before. I might not even have finished that sentence, or that story. And he stopped and he said, it's a triangle. And I said, no, it's a red diamond. And he's going, oh God. He goes, you know what? He goes, I'm from Kansas City. Because I've been in Colorado twice this year. And I swear I knew you. This is the second time I've talked to you. I'm an hour away from where I live. And I run into this guy for the second time in a year, trying to explain to him about the changes. And they were Bible people. And I said, well, hey, him and his wife. And I said, hey, what animal lies down with the lamb? You know, I went right to that. And they really didn't want to have anything to do with me after that. They were just like, oh, we're just going to relax. You know, I love that at the bar. Like, God, I just came in for a beer, man. You just totally changed my whole reality.
You didn't change it.
Some people are grateful, but I just felt like it was getting personal. I was like, you know, to me, I was the only one that was saying it, but I was regurgitating so much that it was a red diamond. I'm remembering it when it first came up, and we were talking about it that night when I was all losing it. Not losing it, but
yeah,
I'm sure you remember that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Freaking it all over again.
Yeah. I remember, I lost my train of thought. It became personal. And, you know, I'm starting to think, well, what happens when all these Mandela effects become personal? And let's say the people, see, I don't even want to go to the people that haven't seen it or haven't noticed or are in denial or whatever. But for us who have seen it, what's going to happen? There's got to, you know, to me, there's got to be another step. And that was, for me, I thought, you know what this is going to be? This is going to be, we're going to see personal Mandela effects. And we're not going to be able to run around and jump online and find thousands of other people that have noticed, you know, Thomas and Friends, or Thomas the Tank Engine has always been Thomas and Friends. I mean, we're not going to be able to correlate.
What is it right now? I don't know that one. What is it right now?
Thomas and Friends.
Right now?
Yeah.
I
remember Thomas the Tank, and I remember Thomas the Tank Engine. So I remember both as far as the two goes.
Well, getting at what you're saying there, I would think we're already getting into another, although we still kind of play everything out the same in looking at stuff quite often and asking people about it, which I don't think is unhealthy, but yeah, you should always be looking at more things as well. But I think we're already getting to the level of, we know not all of us see all the changes. We know for some of us, like myself, like I know there's a memory issue with anybody or anything, you know. I have to consider that. You have to consider all the possibilities. I think we're all getting pretty accepting that, you know, what things are changing, and we're not all going to agree, but that's okay. It's no big deal, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe we remember, maybe we don't, maybe we remember wrong, maybe we have different memories. Who knows? Yeah, you say that changed? Yeah, I believe you. Probably did.
Right.
And we don't stress it.
Right, exactly. How you can't deny somebody on this, or we're gonna have to stick together on this, because I can see a lot of heads clashing.
Mhm.
And
I think we're already heading that direction.
what, the clashing heads or the individual?
No, just, yeah, not stressing it. Like, yeah, I don't really see it that way. Or that's not what I remember.
And
That's no
how
big deal.
come?
No one really cares, right?
But how come? Well, I mean, yes, I was regurgitating the red diamond yield sign constantly for the last 2 months, and then I go look it up, and I can't find. I couldn't even find a diamond until today. You showed me the yellow one. It's why. Okay, you remember I was on the phone with you and God's Armor, or the chat, and we were talking, and it came up. Why was I freaking out? I mean, I don't want to say freaking out, but look, I know
For you, you were talking to people in the public, and now it can come back on you, so it is a little different. I can see why, that annoys you. Like, it's freaking crazy. Now when people check it, but the thing is, a lot of them, they were looking, at least in some cases, they were looking at the time at your phone or their phone, or maybe they kept an eye on it, right? Yeah, as I was saying, maybe you can use your phone to show them instead of telling people information, show them information, then it's their own. If it seems to be memory different. You know what you could do for shits and giggles? You could get yourself a freaking triangle, upside down triangle yield sign, hang it up in your bar, and anybody that comes in that remembers it being a diamond because you told them and they looked at it, get them to sign it. There you go, sign it. And then if someone comes in saying, look at that, what's that? You see all these people that signed it? They seen it.
Yeah, listen, I'm a little mad at myself for not just going out here one night and unscrewing one of those diamond yield signs and putting it up here behind me. I mean, I would have never dawned on me to do that, but boy, I'm wishing I did, because I've driven in the car and done videos while I was talking, passing a yield sign, and I'm going, oh, there it is. I know for a fact that I recall a red diamond, and I know where to look, and I know where the streets are. But I know when I go there, it's going to be an upside down triangle. And you're saying, well, yeah, it's more personal. You're regurgitating it. Look, I know for a fact, 100%, there was 4 people in the car when JFK was murdered. I studied in the 80s with 4 other guys. We all had one cassette tape, William Cooper, and we passed it around for a week and a half, and didn't talk to each other about it at all. And we all came up with most of us came up with the same conclusion, that it was William Greer, the driver, that turned around and shot him. That's what we came up with. We studied each individual in the car. There was 4 people in that car, hands down. So now I come around to find out that there's 6 people in the car. I go through all that. To me, a yield sign's not that big a deal. To me, a yield sign can be explained, maybe not, with the way technology is. I don't know. I don't know if any of this stuff can be explained. Why? Why? I don't understand why I would be upset about anything anymore. I don't. It's like, I know it changes, and not only that, I've gone to a point where I believe I can pinpoint. I can create things. I've already created things, and I've gone through, well, is it something else making me think I created? Well, who cares? The stuff was working, and like, why haven't I created anymore? I'm going through what I created before. I'm going through things now that I created 10 years ago and didn't know what I was doing. And I really feel like that's where I'm at. I feel like I can create, but I'm too involved in the things I've created already. I don't know. And where's it go from here? What is this coming to?
Yeah, who knows?
I mean, physical reality is malleable. It shifts, it changes. And what are we supposed to be doing with that? I mean, I love the things Matt McKinley was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I just went right to another topic. But as far as, the money collapse is never going to happen. That's with a lot of things. You know, this
Yeah.
fear mongering stuff, it's never going to happen. The stuff that they
Well,
feed. Go ahead.
it could, but it's out of our control and completely in control of somebody else. It's not going to happen unless they want it to happen. Honestly, is the way I look at it.
I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah, they can make the system collapse. They can keep the system alive. They can make the system collapse easily. It's all bullshit. Money doesn't even make sense to me anymore. Like the American budget, right? You know, oh, budget this, budget that. Oh, the debt this, the debt that.
I never
Dude, like
understood that.
freaking, what's it doesn't matter anymore. Like it really doesn't, because you look at like before 9/11, you know, Rumsfeld, oh, there's 2.3 trillion not accounted for. Like 2.3 trillion. This is more than, well, it was definitely more than the entire defense budget of 1 year. I think it might have been more than the entire budget. Like that's not, shouldn't be possible. How'd you get that money? Where'd it come from? And now it's up to like 4 or 5 trillion the Pentagon can't account for. Well, where this, obviously the money came from thin air. Oh, they're in debt more. What difference does it make, right? It's so ridiculous.
Agreed.
And I know people will look at it like, oh, they could pay, you know, they could buy all the food, no one would be hungry, no one would be homeless. It isn't, that doesn't even work either. It's not about money. Money is controlling things, but you know, it's about the food supply and where it is, and housing supply and where it is, and whatever. You know, it's more complicated, but the money part is a lot of BS. Like, there's no point in worrying about a collapse. This whole system's a mess. If it was going to collapse, it should collapse when they lost the $2.3 trillion. Right.
Right. Well, the whole system was built to fail right from the beginning. I mean, you know, I have 3 coins. I'm going to loan you 1. You're going to give me 5 back, but only 3 exist. I mean, how are you going to give me 5 back for loaning you 1 when only 3 exist? You know, even when it was gold.
Right. It's destined to go in debt infinitely and never to be able to pay itself off. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, that doesn't mean it has to fail. It doesn't have to fail unless somebody, you have to pay for it. Well, who do you have to pay? The Federal Reserve? Well, I don't know. I guess you start arguing that the U.S. is in debt, trillions of derivatives in quadrillions of derivatives with other countries around the world. So I guess if they come calling, it doesn't even make sense anyway. The U.S. can just be like, screw you, and just bomb you if you don't shut up. Right. You know, I don't even know. The whole thing doesn't even make sense, man, from every angle to me.
No, I don't know. It's a tool anymore.
I can show you.
Use it as a tool. Show me.
You had touched on, I don't want to get into it too much, of course, but you had mentioned the JFK there. Did you see, one big difference is, of course, not how he gets shot, but the effect of the bullet. Like, to me now, I look at it and it's a gruesome scene. It looks like his face gets blown off. Like, that's crazy, right? That's not what happened. The back of his head blew off. And for what most people said, that Jackie was kind of, you know, going to pick up pieces of her husband's brain and skull at the time. Some people argue she was trying to run away, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. You'd probably get on the floor if you were going to do that. Why jump out of a car where everybody's shooting at that one spot? So she literally, my memory is she was picking up pieces and reaching for pieces of her husband's
that's how I remember
head, you know. That was pretty clear to everybody. And because it blew out the back of his head. Well, now, to me, it does not look like that at all. It looks like his face gets wrote off. Oh. And the thing is I'll show you here, I have pictures from documentaries where it's not, oh, sorry, I should warn you. There's one really gruesome pic here. I won't stay on it too long. Oh, so this is literally supposed to be a picture of him, of JFK. Well, there's the back of his head blown off, but it's really extra gruesome, and his skull here seems all distorted. So it's kind of like it's the old way, but it's a messed up old way. I just got to say the shape, I don't know, that's really messed up. But in any case, the main point is his face is still there. Like, it's fine.
I'm trying to
other pictures I should have.
I'm trying to present these pictures. I have no idea what I'm doing. They've seen nothing but my mug all night.
I think you are presenting.
Am I? Yeah.
No, I think you're presenting.
But I go on to, let me look in chat. Hey, can you see anything but me? Because it looks to me like I'm the only thing coming up on the screen. Everybody disappeared.
We're gonna go back to the beginning of these pictures.
Can you guys see Noble?
Oh.
Why am I not presenting properly?
Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I don't even have all the proper pictures I thought I had in here. I don't get what's going on.
Oh well,
I have them in a different spot probably.
I wish
Yeah.
I wish I knew what I was doing.
This is an interesting one.
They only see me, by the way. Do you have any idea how I'm supposed to do it? It's been that way all night. That's why I kept screwing up. I'm trying to. It says you're presenting, but you're presenting on Google.
It's funny because it looks as if you were to me. I'll just check the live feed here right now. Yeah, you're right. You're not presenting. I don't know.
I hit screen share. I'm presenting to everyone, and it's just dying on me here now. I don't even know what's going on. How do I get out of this? Can you see that?
No.
All right, now you were just up there. You were just up there now. I don't know what I did, but happy. Thanks, Jen. Yeah, it does look like Jackie did it in this timeline, or whatever you want to call it. It's still just me, and that's all they saw the whole night. So, and I have, and before you were presenting and nothing. Let's see, present to everyone. I just clicked that.
I think that means you are presenting. Is there a way to choose who? Yeah, it's like you're presenting to everybody. Maybe.
I'm under your name.
Oh, I see. I found the other pictures I was looking for too.
Did you at all? I don't know. But anyway, the videos that we seen in the 80s, I say 84, 85, the blood splatter went straight up. No, I'm mistaken. The blood, I did that backwards. The blood splatter went back. And now I believe the blood splatter is going straight up. That was one of the first things I noticed. Somebody needs to tell me what to do on this thing. How do I? Noble, you there? I totally lose you. Noble.
Oh,
okay. You there? You're not there.
No, you muted me. That's
shit. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah, you were just muting me a couple times there, but that's all right. I got it unmuted.
Well, see, now it's coming
I
up,
have some
coming up on the Hangouts. Why can't I get it into YouTube?
The stream.
I think I found it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Dude, basically, yeah, the pictures I have here, like, it shows JFK with his face fine, and some depictions of that, and people referring to his head having damage in the back and whatever. It totally conflicts with what you see now in the film.
Huh. Yeah, a lot of things are messed up with that, that's you know, it's weird. I was already affected by the Mandela effect, but in 15, but in 16 is when that popped up, and that's the one that bugged the heck out of me. I was like, well, why? I'm already affected.
You know what's funny? When I was, like I was saying, I used to come home every day and watch the same RBN radio show. It was Mike Riviera or something, guy out of out of Hawaii, but he did Syria and some other, you know, ISIS, and I watched the whole Ukrainian thing go down day by day. Like, I know that story outright. The media, I've never seen the media lie so much in my life, like blatantly. It was brutal. I mean, even going against European inspectors. Anyway, point being, I was watching his show and he had call-ins, and someone called in one day who was like, did you see the theory? Or it looks, the JFK film looks like looks like his wife. And Mike's theory and on his website was about the shoot of the driver maybe being the guy that had the gun, right? And I, of course, in recent times watched that. It goes frame by frame. The 10th time I watched the damn thing frame by frame over the years. And you could only see a little tiny flash down by the dude's waist, like by his freaking hips, man. The driver, like, yeah, maybe there's a gun there, but it's pushing it. It looks like something might be shiny. Who knows? You know, it's such a small little spot. Anyway, yeah, dude had called in, and Mike basically just got rid of him. Like, yeah, okay, you crazy guy. And it was before I ever knew about the Mandela effect. But oh, did you find a way to present me?
I don't even know what I just did.
You had it. You just did. You did, but now it isn't. Anyway, it was funny. He just got rid of him. Yeah, shit. But now you look at the film now. That's the other point. Is that the shooter or the driver, if he turned around and shot a gun, which there is some sort of case there that can be argued that maybe he did, it's way up at his shoulder. You can't even see the dude's waist. There's no way. It's totally with that car and that angle. There's no way you can see down by dude's waist or hips. Like, clearly, you know, the film's different from that as well. Looks like you got it displayed to them.
Mm. Yeah, go ahead, shoot through those.
Yeah,
I wish I knew.
Yeah,
what
I mean, I should have done a video about this already. Anyway, here's the gruesome one. Sorry, anybody, if you don't want to look for a moment. It's probably, I don't think it's real. I'll be honest with you. I think it's 50% fake. It's elaborated. It's been manipulated, so don't stress it. Maybe not, but yeah, anyway, here's JFK. You know, there's his face. It's fine. There's the back of his head blown off. Far more gruesome than I think it's supposed to be. And his skull's all augmented here, like way a little bit too big. It's kind of freaking weird. And I don't know what they did, if they like scooped out his brains on the table or they just held it in a bucket and dumped it there beside him or what. The whole thing don't even make sense, but there's his face, right? I'll show you this one. I'll get back to a similar type of evidence, but this one's a weird picture that I came across, and it was on an RT thing, right? Who is this woman beside him looking at him at JFK? Because here's the governor and his wife's head. Who is this woman?
With the black hat?
I would have to assume it's Jackie. Yeah, but it's a black hat.
Who's got the black hat?
What is this?
Well, hold on a second.
I don't know, because she's supposed to have a pink hat like this.
Stop. Connolly's in the wrong spot. Connolly and his wife are not in those positions.
Was over there.
Connolly was in front of Kennedy.
So
this could be a whole nother.
There may be another excuse. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what this is. There may be another excuse for this situation. I just found it really odd. Like, who's the woman? Right? So this is weird. But that's a good catch. You're right. Connolly and his wife isn't in the right position. So I don't know what this is, but it's curious nonetheless. I thought I caught Jackie with a different hat on. I don't know what's going on.
That's the first thing I would have thought too. But
it's a weird one.
And it looks like it's the car though, because you got the bar. It could have been the same car. Who knows? They could have been another day. No, I guess it couldn't have been the day after, huh?
Yeah. Well, they flew in. They flew into Texas, got in that car at that time. Like, they only drove a little bit after the airport.
Yeah, but that doesn't look like they're in the airport.
So that car was in Texas.
There's grass behind there, right? That's what that guy's standing on in the back.
Sure.
With a sign. No, what's that? No.
I'm just pointing out they didn't drive that same car to different cities. That's all I'm pointing out. It's in Texas, whatever, Houston or whatnot. When they flew in, they got in that car and drove right to where he got shot, right? It isn't like they took the same car all around the country.
Well, according
the odds of this being a different time and place is fairly slim.
Yes, and not just that. It says it's the shooting pictured. Is that what that says? I can't see it. Preceded by car chase. Picture taken for, so that would be Jackie, and Connolly's in the wrong spot.
Yeah. I mean, it's what the RT document was referring to. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Weird stuff, dude. Anyway.
Wow.
Craziness for thought.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'll show you some of the other ones. I don't want to give away too much of my. I obviously have some, I would say, really good evidence, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to give that away involving the car. But there is some other stuff involving the damage to his face or not. 1 second here, and I'll bring that up for you.
It's funny. I don't want to touch
too many
anything.
buttons on the go.
Like, I got you on this screen. I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, just give me a moment.
Yeah, you're fine.
All right. So, is that showing up?
You are sharing.
I think that's showing up there for you guys. Okay. Yeah. So here was this is the depiction from, I don't know if it's the CIA, whoever did the botch report, right? The bullshit report before the Mandela days. This was what they were presenting to people. This was a drawing that the bullet went in the back of his head and came out the front, which everybody knew that was went at the back. But nonetheless, there's his face, just fine as can be, right? Here's another shot, black and white shot of the corpse. Look at that. Huh. Because I can totally see all of JFK's face, and it looks totally fine to me. It doesn't look like Jackie blew his face off. Just thought I'd point that.
Yeah, what's up with that? That don't even look like JFK. Is that supposed to be him? I guess could be.
Apparently, yeah. It's from a JFK document. That's supposed to be a picture from wherever they had his body at some point. Wow. There's so many angles of the lies. I don't know. I mean, you might have a point, but that is officially supposed to be him, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever, you know. I don't know. Here's a side picture showing his face.
Let's see now.
And here's a picture. It's not in great condition, but it's all these people explaining where they saw the damage to the back of his skull. They're all holding their hand up, showing these are all the different people. I know you can't see the details of their names or nothing, but this was used in a documentary to dispute, right? What I think the CIA was claiming or whoever. Right. Mm-hmm. Because they were all claiming, oh, the bullet came out the front. They're like, no, there's a big hole in the back of his head. And all these people, right? And now you look at the film, no. So there's a lot of evidence that points towards that we remember the video. Like, I mean, we're not just talking simple residue-ish hinting. Like, it's totally there. It's anything that's not the video, basically. The video is the only thing that really got changed completely. And I guess pictures of that video, you know, or pictures of that car. The car seemed to be a good target, but this is a little bit more indirect about the damage to him.
Sure.
Of course, we do got the one white short car, right, from that Life magazine. That was one. But anyway, I think that's all I got of any use.
Do you
remember that movie?
No.
Sorry, I'm going off topic.
No, I vaguely. What was it? Any good?
Somebody brought this movie up to me and said it wasn't this dude with this girl in this movie. It was a different guy. And I've never seen the movie. It's an older movie. I don't know if I have the picture of him here or not.
The guy that it's supposed to be?
Sorry. Yeah, the person they very clearly remembered it as.
I want to know who the guy is.
And to tell you the truth, I kind of agreed with them. I'm like, you're right. It was with this other dude, just from the picture. I had never seen the movie, but I'm way off.
I wouldn't have thought it was Jim Belushi. I do vaguely remember.
No, it's a dude with the shorter guy. I'm sure it's in the same bunch of pictures here. 1 second.
Oh God, go for it.
Showing you a bunch of garbage. Looking away.
Suspenders, Mickey.
There's the white. There's a white short car from the JFK.
And that's in the museum, right? Or is that the one in the museum? The car in the museum is.
There's a short car in the museum, but it's not white. This is a white one, and I remember white, dude. I'm one of the few people that do.
You remember white? See, now here's the weird thing. the William Cooper VCR tapes that we had were in black and white, yet I remember light blue. I mean, how's that possible?
Oh, yeah.
Is that the guy?
This guy. Yeah, I don't know his name. I'm not making a video, so.
No,
But yeah, this guy was apparently in that movie with the girl called Curly Sue.
I could
like,
see
yeah,
that
that
more
seems
than,
a lot more correct.
Yeah, but I didn't see the movie. I vaguely remember it. So I even the caption, but I wouldn't have thought Jim Belushi was in that. What was that? Sleepless in Seattle, and Hey, and You Got Mail. That's two movies.
Mm-hmm.
Sleepless in Seattle is a movie, and You Got Mail is a movie. And I thought You Got Mail was the big saying in Sleepless in Seattle. It's like Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh.
You know, it was like You Got Mail.
No, it wasn't.
Or am I totally mixing it up with another movie? And who knows? Because I wasn't really
you're
watching
mixing
movies
them
back
together,
then
I
like
think.
that. But I'm telling you, I didn't think You
They're
Got
pretty
Mail
early
was
movies,
a
man.
movie. Yeah, so I'm sure I didn't see either of them. But that was
Sleepless in Seattle was a good chunk older, I think. A few years older at least.
okay.
Anyway, there's that evidence in the JFK, and there's other evidence I have, but all of it points at well, I guess the stuff I showed, you could argue like old reality. I have other evidence I don't really want to point out right now, but it points at it's not true. It's a fabrication. Like what we're watching didn't really happen that way, and that's my stance on it, and I'm very confident on it.
I was wondering.
That's complete bullshit.
I was wondering that
You're looking at a lie.
What am I doing?
Sorry.
This could be
no, the JFK film,
the
Pre-Order film, being a complete lie.
Yeah, I was wondering if the whole thing wasn't just filmed right up front with 6 people in the car, and then they just started putting out, 3 people in the car and then 4 people in the car. But even though I studied it in the 80s and there was 4 people in the car, and if my buddy Don happens to be listening, he was one of those people, and he says, no, there were 6. And he just starts laughing. He's like, oh, I get it. We shifted into different timelines. And he just laughs. I got to stop doing that, going to another story. Where was I? No, the JFK possibly being filmed as 6 people. Heck, could have been 8 people. And they just kept chopping it down and feeding us a little bit of different things. That was the only way I could justify that. I know that can't be the way it happened. You're going to do a 50-year conspiracy or a 50-year.
Yeah, it's a little much.
Pull that off.
Who knows, though? I mean, I wouldn't put it by the powers in this world, man, to plan that far ahead. But I would doubt it. If you're an Og Tellez fan, he'll say that they can film it and they can project it into the past and make it look like that. Basically, is how he puts it, to keep it very simple. There's a way. Now that's out there crap, but I don't know. I think it's kind of I don't even think it's true either. That might be sort of a bullshit cover-up story, like an exaggerated story that he was fed. I don't think he's lying. I think he's telling his truth as he knows it. But I don't think that's totally true. But if you listen to him, that's one angle. They literally can project things in the past and change the past, almost like a movie. Yeah, it's a weird concept.
Well, if they're doing that, and it just might only be one timeline, there might not be any. It just might be one physical reality. I mean, if they can project things in the past and change it. I mean, listen, it's come to my attention that with this whole yield sign thing is, when I was out there and I saw red diamonds, did I really see red diamonds? I mean, were red diamonds?
Yeah.
Was I looking at a red upside down triangle thinking, oh, in my head, I'm getting red triangle, but still I collaborated with other people who didn't argue with me.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. Man, there's a lot of stories out there that make you think. I'm telling you, you got to wonder because, you see with your vision to your eyes, that information goes in your head, it gets processed. There's all kinds of places where something might get changed or twisted, and you have your memory. Everything, not much of anything is instant. Almost everything is instantly a memory. So it's really a lot of possibilities. But like the woman and her husband with the tidy cats, and she saw a Mandela video about the change of the Mandela, the tidy cats, and she had some in the closet. She goes, look at it, like, wow, it changed, right? She looks, she gets her husband, yeah, it changed. Oh my goodness, it wasn't that when we bought it. And I don't know, what is it, 2 T's, 1 T, something like that. Anyway, and it flipped.
What do you mean 2 T's, 1 T?
I can't.
Where is it?
No, I'm guessing. I can't remember the change.
Oh, well,
I can't remember how that change goes.
For me, it was Tidy Cats in the 80s, 90s, and it shifted to, or last year, I say late 15, early 16, it was Tidy Cat. No S.
Okay, it was the
straight
S.
up Tidy Cat. Now I know.
Okay, yeah. So
I know Jesse Spot said he was sure it was Tidy Cat. He can't believe there's an S on the end. For me, it switched back and forth.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Right. And it flip flopped. So she went, and a couple days later, whatever, she saw a video of the flip flop. And she's like, really? Goes back to the closet, looks at the freaking cat litter, and it's like, it flipped back. She couldn't believe it. Shows her husband. Oh my goodness, right? And then she notices that the freaking flip flop video that she saw was produced and put out, like, out on YouTube before she even watched the first video on the tidy cats. So like, it's just totally screwed. I mean, you start to wonder if the thing has an effect by watching the damn video affecting you, which affects the item, or maybe how you perceive the item. It starts to bring a lot of things into question. Sure. And I have a similar story with the VHS tape of the start of Luke, I Am Your Father, right? And I got the thing already. I watched it, and it said nothing. It was blank. I was recording it with my phone. I was recording the TV screen with my phone, and it was blank. I was like, what the hell? It didn't say Luke. It didn't say no. And my mom was sitting right there, because this was at my parents' house where they had the VHS player. And I stopped it, and I rewound it. And I played it again right away. And it goes, no, I am your father. I'm like, what the hell, right? That's crazy. And then I watched the cell phone recording from the first time. I'm like, oh, I caught a blank. A lot of good that is for YouTube video, right? But that said, no, I am your father. I'm like, what the hell? And I'm getting really annoyed. So what I did, I'm trying to figure something out, like, what the hell could be happening here? And because I know my cell phone's attached to the freaking cell phone towers and all this, right? And I'm getting annoyed trying to isolate the figuring here. And so I get my dad to sit out there, and I get me and my mom to leave, and he listens to it. It was a blank for him. I get a digital camera for him to record it. It was still a blank. Like, literally, I was leaving the room, get my mom to leave the room, and then I replayed the digital camera for him alone, and it changed to no. Pretty convinced that it was a blank, back to a blank for him when it would be more. So I don't know what's going on, but again, similar to that tidy cat scenario, you got to wonder, is it our perception? Is there a damn spell? Or another idea I had at the time, when you listen to or see something, your brain reacts. And they've been looking at this for decades, and obviously there's technology far beyond us.
Is this connected with your quantum entanglement stuff? Your quantum entanglement stuff, the stuff I don't understand, quantum entanglement that I do understand.
Yeah, I mean,
is it connected?
There could be in the mix, but this concept is more directly technology, whereas I don't really think so. It's an idea, it doesn't fit for everything, that's for sure, just for some sorts of changes, most of them being product and entertainment related, just visual stuff and audio stuff. But if you think of something, right, you can watch a brain, no matter what human it is, you can watch a brain and they'll have similar activity for listening or visual seeing the same thing. And so they can identify it. I should say it can be identified by a computer. And so maybe you output, your brain's outputting that you're seeing it, and instantly your brain or mind takes input information to cover it up, not to cover it up, but to intercept it, so that in the example of the VHS tape, that it's a VHS, it isn't digital quality, right? So maybe in the beginning, it doesn't, what I'm hearing doesn't cause that same reaction in my brain quite as perfect or as identifiable until I listen to it the second time, and the system catches on. They're like, and then it sends in the intercept, so you're actually hearing something else, but that sound is being kind of created or manipulated inside your head through what, cell phone towers, 5G, I don't know, right? Whatever. It's a weird idea, but
well,
I considered that at one time.
Talking about that, my phone's been on emergency since before. I don't even know how I got through to you. Oh, it had to be through the computer. I've been sending out stuff to these other guys, and nothing's getting out. Talking about technology.
Yeah.
Anyway, you brought up something that I wanted to touch on. I don't know. Fill in the silence. Where were you?
Oh, I don't know.
I know.
I should tell you, because I never did tell you on one of the updates that was the important one. The last time I had a memory, I'm jumping way back here, but the last time I had a memory of something, a memory update sort of scenario, was when Dan did the video on Brazil and its new capital, Brasilia. And as soon as I seen that, I remembered having that information presented to me, in a dreamlike state, essentially. I was very aware of it, like the most I've ever been aware of that. And at the time when it was presented to me, I laughed at it. I recognized it as a change, essentially as a Mandela effect, but just as a change in general. And I didn't only recognize it, I didn't only reject it, I laughed at it, knowing what it was. And so when I watched his video that clued me in, which means I'm remembering this memory consciously for the first time, I was mad at myself. I'm like, I knew that was going to change ahead of time, right? Probably a couple of what it seemed like in my memory. I was mad. It's like, man, I could have told everybody it was going to change. That would have been awesome.
And I've taken a picture.
So I became very confident. That was the last time that ever happened to me.
I've taken a picture of, I was going to take a picture of Jiffy, and Skippy on the shelf at the same time when I was in Mississippi, and I was too busy staring at them. And staring could be part of that too, because I was just staring at them thinking, why isn't somebody getting sued? And I had to snap myself out of it. I'm in a grocery store in an aisle just staring at the peanut butter. It just, I wouldn't take a picture.
How was there?
What you got?
How was it that you seen both or something?
I saw I lived with Jiffy, and Skippy my whole life. A lot of people said it changed, it shifted. It may have. I'm not denying that. Who knows? Maybe 30 years of my life I was stuck in the middle of a shift. It's Jiffy, and Skippy have always existed for me as far as I could tell. When I lived in Mississippi, I was in the supermarket and I was staring at them. And the weird thing I noticed was it was the only jar of Jiffy. I noticed that. And nobody was talking about shifts or changes, or I was into the Mandela effect. I wasn't quite sure what it was. This would be, I was into it quite a bit. Say December of 15 or 15 or 16. Everything, all the dates, all the years are starting to collide together for me. But I was in Mississippi. Yeah, I'm here. Who's this?
This photohelix.
Oh, it's Photo.
Hey, brother. Thanks for coming in.
I just got it. How long have you been on?
Oh, 2.5, 3 hours maybe.
Man.
Really?
Leave it to me to come in at the end of things. I just was checking my email. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning here. I'm getting started and everything, and now here I am. I am so sorry. I forgot you're doing this on Tuesday nights, right?
Dude, yeah, but I'm doing it for people that are awake. I don't expect everybody I know to jump on here just to get on. I blew it anyway. I've been refraining from saying this, but I fell asleep. And
Oh, no.
yeah,
Online?
we didn't actually get started till about 2:45.
Oh, okay.
So
That's your time, right?
Yes, 2:45 my time, Mountain Time.
So that would be, what, 9 o'clock my time, maybe?
What, quarter to 3?
It's 7 a.m. here now. What time do you have there?
I got 5:07.
5:07. Well, do you have a chat room up and going too? Or?
Yeah, I had to let them go. I had a couple of hammers in there, but I had to just let them go. I couldn't multitask. They've been doing fine in there. And yeah.
Can you hear me okay? Because I'm on a Wi-Fi on the laptop in another room. I mean, have I got a good enough connection?
I hear you fine.
You sound good. Hi, Noble.
What, did he get cut off?
Hey.
Oh,
No, I was on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still kicking.
Well, you
I
look
didn't
good
realize
there.
we were on so long.
Yeah. Man, has your studio set has grown and changed, brother.
What are you talking about?
I can't even see the mic hanging through with all that stuff.
This is the way it's always been. What are you talking about?
When am I going to get my
flip-flop.
shirt? Did you send the shirts to Scarab?
I did. He's waiting to put a couple other shirts in there. He wanted to just send out a bunch of things one time, so he's still holding on to them. But yeah, you get your shirt's in there. Noble, you got yourself one too.
Cool.
So how you been? How did the show go? I'm sorry, I'm just coming in here at the end of it.
NoblenessDee saved me. I woke up late. I texted him, and he happened to still be up because he's about to crash up. I'm guessing everybody just, I didn't get a hold of Jesse today. We might have talked early, so he was going to come on, but nothing came about that. And Scarab, I emailed him too. I was planning on getting him on, and later on, I was going to do some things. I had everything all planned, and absolutely nothing went the way I expected. But I got Nobleness here, saved the show.
Well, listen, brother, whenever you're going to go on live, if it's a spur of the moment or whenever, even if it's your regular timing, drop me a text on my phone, because I carry the phone with me, but I'm not always access to the email. And so when you send the link in there, if you'll send me a phone text or just drop me a line there so I know you're going on, then I can hook up with you. I'll get on the email and check my link. And sure enough, I mean, proud and honored to be able to join you on your show. I mean, you look so professional, and here in your studio setup, man, yeah. It's just, and this is just your second run, right? Or have I missed one?
Yeah, no, this is the second one. Like I said, I didn't want to be so produced, and I have a heater under me now, so I don't have to worry about freezing. And that.
Now you can wear a T-shirt without having goosebumps on your head.
But yeah, I didn't want this to all be too produced, and I said, well, what else am I going to do with this stuff? I started collecting it last year, and then I realized that is a big mistake. And I was going to bring a lot of it down to the bar, but we have so much stuff we're finding in the basement now. We just found 25-year-old ceramic bottles of whiskey that were in boxes sealed. So we just
wow.
Yeah, cars, old phones, old cars, casinos.
Dude, I bet that whiskey kick your butt right now. You know,
I don't do any liquor at all anymore. I'm done. Beer's not liquor, right? Yeah, well, I get away from that too. And I say I don't do any liquor at all. And I'll bet there's liquor in this.
You got a Johnny Walker, and they say that bottle's changed.
Yeah, it went from Y to IE. I didn't actually see that one change, but I do remember it as a Y. Yet, you know, I called up my buddy in New Jersey who drinks Johnny Walker, and he told me IE. It's always been IE, but you know, he was really close to it. And then again, I'm talking to a guy who's constantly doing shots of Johnny Walker. Hey, did it change? I mean, you know, I'm asking. He's not a drunk, but that's what I'm saying. I'm asking a guy who's drunk.
Yeah. If he's constantly doing shots, he don't know if it changed. It changed for him way back, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's funny. Well, man, I do apologize for being slow to get the invite. If I'd known, I would have jumped on here a lot earlier.
Oh, you're fine. No, I probably didn't give you the invite until late because I wasn't sure what I was doing here. The whole show was. I got all my notes here and nothing went as planned, except the song in the beginning that I played from my buddy Colby created that. And
cool. I'll have to go back and watch your show and see what all you talked about.
Oh, I just kept the guy awake. That's all I did. But we worked.
You need to get you a red marker on that cornflakes box and make it a big red K on there.
This one here. Where's it at?
Yeah, that cornflakes. Yeah, make a big